Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, where Abrego Garcia was living when he was arrested by ICE agents last month, has now said he's requested a meeting with the president of El Salvador during his visit in the United States while he's in Washington. Van Hollen also said he's prepared to go to El Salvador himself if Abrego Garcia is not returned very soon, writing to the Salvadoran ambassador to the United States. This in part: I have met with Mr. Abrego Garcia's wife, mother, and brother, and as you can imagine, they are extremely worried about his health, safety, and continued illegal confinement, as am I. And joining us now is Senator Van Hollen. Senator, thank you for your time. You requested this meeting with President Bukele while he's in D.C. Is the meeting set? Have you heard back?
Kate, it's good to be with you. I did request it. I've not heard back from the president of El Salvador. And as I said in that letter, if I don't hear from him and Abrego Garcia is not quickly returned, I do intend to go to El Salvador this week to show solidarity with his family. As you indicated, the Trump administration itself has admitted that he was abducted and sent to this prison in error, and he should get his due process.
They show no intent of doing anything to bring him back anytime soon, that is for sure. If by midweek, I mean, this could be tomorrow, nothing happens, you go to El Salvador, do you have a hope of leaving with him when you come back, or what can you accomplish there?
Kate, I hope to meet with officials of the government of El Salvador. I don't know if the president is going to be in country at that time. I also hope to visit this notorious prison to see Abrego Garcia, to let him know that his family and friends are very worried about him, as am I. I think that the situation for both the Trump administration and the president of El Salvador is unsustainable. Because the Supreme Court, as you reported, by 9-0, has said the Trump administration has to facilitate his return. And you have the president of El Salvador saying, well, I don't have the power to release him. Both things are untrue. The president could, of course, facilitate his return. After all, the United States is paying El Salvador money for this prison. And of course, the president of El Salvador could release him. So at some point, I think this becomes unsustainable. People are going to keep calling for his release because the Trump administration itself has admitted he was wrongfully whisked out of the country, and we have a 9-0 decision from the Supreme Court.
This is very important, obviously, to you, as he and his family are constituents of yours. But I heard this somewhat debated last night. And what do you say to someone, I'm picking a random place, Idaho? Why should we, the collective we, care about this one case?
Well, we should care about this case because of due process. Every American citizen is due their due process, and people who are in the United States under legal protective status, like Abrego Garcia was, are entitled to due process. So if the president gets to shred the Constitution and ignore the Supreme Court in this case, it is a very short path to the president ignoring court orders in other cases. So every American should care about this.
You are also a graduate of Harvard, and another one of our top stories that we've been talking about is the Trump administration just froze $2.2 billion in federal funds to Harvard after the school said no to the demands that they've made on other schools and they've agreed to. The administration says that this is part of their trying to fight anti-Semitism, responding to a series of incidents, anti-Semitic incidents on campuses. What do you think of this? Will Harvard be okay, do you think, without $2.2 billion in federal funds?
So, Kate, I applaud Harvard's decision not to give in to bullying from the Trump administration. You know, Donald Trump believes in First Amendment rights for himself, but apparently for nobody else. Others they will punish when there's an exercise of First Amendment rights. I would also point out, Kate, that yesterday the Washington Post just broke a story in the case of Ms. Ozturk, right? She was the Fulbright Fellow at Tufts. And an internal State Department memo conceded that there was absolutely no basis to claim that she was engaged in anti-Semitic activities. So what you see the Trump administration doing is trying to use this argument that these students are violating American foreign policy, that they're engaged in these acts to undermine U.S. foreign policy, when in many cases what they've been doing is protesting the actions of the U.S. government and the Netanyahu government with respect to Gaza. So, look, you can agree or disagree with the students, but what the purpose of the First Amendment is that you don't have the government dictating speech as the Trump administration is trying to do. So I'm glad Harvard is standing up here.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, appreciate your time. Looking forward to hearing if you hear back from the president of El Salvador on your request to meet while he is in Washington. Thank you.